Welcome everyone, and today we're looking at Horizon Zero Dawn. My name is CKG, and today we are checking out the PC port for Horizon Zero Dawn in 2022. And today we are at 1080p and we're going into the settings. As you can see, it's on story difficulty just for the display and showcase of it. We are playing at 1920 by 1080 as previously said. All the settings in the display menu are as such, and the graphic preset is set to medium, which is equal to the PlayStation 4, and we have motion blur off as I dislike motion blur. So let's get into it. As you can see, we are around 60 FPS, but we are experiencing some frame drops at the moment. We're back up to 60. And as you can see, we are maintaining 60 FPS. However, this is not always the case in the game as we can drop below 60. This is very early on, and due to the fact that this area is not as demanding as some of the city areas. As you can see, when you enter foliage, it enters the lower 60s and it can drop. However, we are going to be able to maintain 60 FPS for a pretty good portion. Our GPU is at 99% and it is also recording the gameplay as we are using NVIDIA Shadowplay. So far for recording and playing the game, it is going pretty well. So we're just going to take a sprint and see how we do in this area.
Dirty outcast.
Good thing I'm shunned or I'd actually have to talk to these idiots. Time to see Karst and get a tripcaster.
So what if the matriarchs invite the Carja to the proving? It's time.
And sprinting through these small villages, as you can see, nothing really is too bad here.
Land grows ever
But
more
there is some
dense.
frame drops right around this area, as you can see when you come in and introduce the NPCs. So let's try FSR out. We are going to try FSR on Ultra Quality and enable. So we are seeing about a 5 to 10 FPS jump. So let's sprint through. However, there is a bit of a noticeable degradation. Uh, Now pay attention to this, and my screen is a 32-inch 1440p monitor. It is not native 1080p on the current screen I'm tested on, and it does look a slightly bit blurry. However, I do have a 24-inch 1080p monitor, and it does look much better on that. Yep. And from there we can see we are holding above and going now into the 80s. So FSR is very much helping the frame rate on the GTX 1650 Super. And we are no longer pegged at a full 99%. We are down to 98% at times. Back up to 99. Not bad. So Going to take off FSR just to check back. Yes, and you are dropping down into the 60s as you sprint through in the game. So as you go through more demanding areas of the game, you will see some drops. However, they do spike back up pretty quickly so far. And as I can tell, the port is much
Getting up
improved
close.
compared to how it was a few years ago. When it launched, it was very deplorable. There was a lot of crashing. I have only experienced two crashes, and that was completely on me as I had the card very overclocked. It was running at over 2 gigahertz. It was 2010 megahertz on the core, and the memory was pushed up all the way to 7005. Now I've pulled back down the clocks to stock, so it's just boosting pretty much what it usually does. So let's go into some of the snowier areas and see how things are performing. So we are seeing some drops.
Slow and quiet does it.
So as you can see, we are seeing some close drops again. And I'm going to try out FSR in this portion of the game to see how it looks. Once more, going to put back on FSR to make sure we could see. And we're boosting back up. And you're no longer seeing drops, and we're actually regular in the 70s to 80s now, which is pretty impressive. However, there's a slight degradation of quality, especially around some of the foliage, but it's not very noticeable, as I said, on a 1080p screen, especially if you're using something that's 24 inches or 22 inches, a normal 1080p screen. This is a 32-inch 1440p screen, so it's a bit more exaggerated. On my 1080p monitor, it doesn't look like this. It looks much better. Not too bad. And let's try ultra quality, from ultra quality down to quality. Wow, yep, a lot more. But as you could see, there is some shimmer, especially into the distance. And you could see some shimmer much more on alloys here. It really doesn't look as good. So let me come in close there to the hair. Yes, you could see some shimmer onto the hair. And let's now go into settings and drop that now to ultra quality. The hair does look a bit better. And make sure you could see it, ultra quality. And now we're going back to native. No upscaling at all. And you can see the hair has no really shimmer at all and looks the best here. Now, if you don't want to use FSR and you have a FreeSync or G-Sync monitor, the game will play extremely well on those due to the fact that FreeSync ranges usually is 40 to 48. Now, some FreeSync monitors are down to 30, so your FreeSync range will range from 30, 40, 48, all the way up to 120, 144 Hz, 165 Hz, 240 Hz, depending on the refresh rate of your monitor. So as you can see, we're still holding pretty well. There are going to be some small drops here and there, but the game is pretty much very much playable at this resolution and with good frame rates. Now, I just want to say this, and I know I may have said it a few times in the video, we are recording and playing the game. He is not very observant. He didn't do it, just didn't notice me blatantly in the open. So as you can see, we are pretty much at 60 FPS here. If you go into the foliage, more, and GPU usage is pegged pretty much at 99%, 98%. CPU usage is pretty good for the 2700X. However, as you know, the 2700X does not have the highest single core IPC and there is latency between the cores. So this is not the strongest CPU you could be using. If you're using something more modern like a Ryzen 5 3600, you should be getting a few more frames due to that single core performance. Now let's talk about if you want to record and stream the game like I'm doing, what I may recommend. Now because streaming may be more demanding, one of the things that you could do to free up GPU resources is to come down here and limit the FPS to 60 FPS, because if you're using a 60 FPS monitor or even if you're using a FreeSync monitor, 60 FPS is fine for a single player title like this. And once you do that, you click apply and you see you go straight back down to 97%. So you have a few more percentage, 92%. It's going to hover around 97 most of the time to 92. Sometime it may drop back down into the 80s.
Until the ground softens.
Now, if you come on and turn on FSR and leave it at ultra quality, which is fine for 1080p, making sure that applied. Yes, it did. You can see we are now at 80%, 75%. So our GPU usage has gone down and our CPU usage has also gone down, making this a very good recording experience if you're trying to record and do a let's play or something of that nature for the game. You want to do benchmarks, you want to play the game, you want to do it for anything like that. It's going to be fine. Alright, I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, comments, please drop it down below. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Have a nice day, everyone.